Okay. Hi there. Welcome back to Coffee Break. Today we're going to make some coffee and talk about dramas.
New spot,
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, try something new, I guess.
I got bored.
What?
You got bored in the same spot over and over again?
Well, it's cold downstairs right now. So today, let's start by making coffee because I actually only had 1 cup of coffee today.
How dare you?
Which isn't the greatest thing ever. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see that. So if you're on YouTube, you can see all this behind me. If you're not watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify, head to YouTube and see what we're actually doing.
Please don't judge my coffee cabinet or my coffee tea cabinet.
All right, so take our nice little mug here. Okay.
We only have 1 actual set of coffee cups. The rest of it is all miscellaneous. Because we're miscellaneous people.
Stop hating.
I'm not hating, I'm just saying.
Get our coffee. Okay. Much better, right? Okay, we shall continue. Anyways, while we're doing this, let's discuss what we're discussing today anyways.
Okay. So you want to begin?
Which is...
Dun, dun, dun.
So we're just going to talk about Webtoons and film and television, but also comics. So we'll relate them to the way that we do here in North America, is that we adapt comic books. You'll see them mostly superheroes, right? Like Marvel, DC. But there's also some that are not really superhero stuff. Like a show that's on Netflix right now called Snowpiercer. It's actually a French comic book that was made... Actually, hold on. What's that way? Gotta get the creamer.
Our dairy-free, non-sponsored creamer.
Dairy-free, sugar-free, not so sponsored creamer. If y'all want to sponsor, by all means. Hazelnut flavored.
It's really good, actually. And brewing the coffee begins.
Yeah.
So what do you think people's fascination with adapting comics to TV is?
I mean, comics have like a wide variety of stories that they're telling right now. Like in general, sorry, I should say. I've been reading comics for a long time, so you have so much source material that you can choose from. The issue is not taken from any of the source materials. That's one of the things that really bugs me
It's
about
what?
most of them.
Sorry, I didn't quite hear you.
They're not taking from the source materials.
So they take the story and just do whatever they want with it.
They'll take the character and then they'll run with it, kind of thing. A show on Netflix is Snowpiercer. That's adapted from a French comic that was adapted into a movie first by Bong Joon-ho, who did Parasite, who's a South Korean director, right? So, funny enough, South Korean making a French comic into an American television show. Oh, coffee's done. Yay. Yo, I pressed 10. Okay, anyways, whatever. That's good. I wanted 10 ounces instead of 8. And so Korean, with the Korean Webtoons, they do similar. True Beauty is one of the more recent ones, and I got to read the
comic?
the Webtoon recently. I kind of just binged through it. I was as I started and I didn't stop, and I caught up to it, and like I'm up to where they're at now.
What did you think of the comic
It's
to TV show?
What they did was they kind of I guess because they shortened the story to adapt to where the comic was at the time, which makes sense. Which always makes sense. That's They do that a lot.
If there's no actual ending.
I mean, yeah. So like, if the comic is coming out as they're making the show, they'll kind of adapt as it goes. But it was okay. I mean, it was very different.
Did you prefer one over the other?
Some aspects I did. Some aspects I didn't. Some of the like Kang Mina's character, her friend, and her boyfriend in the show are dating. They get a lot of screen time, a lot of time together.
They're actually so cute.
They're very cute. In the webtoon, they're not dating, and they don't really get much screen time. So it's kind of like, they're really cool characters, but.
Is it because it was Kang Mina that was cast?
It possibly, but I think they wanted, because they mainly based the show in the school.
Yeah.
Whereas in the webtoon, it kind of expanded. It jumped from like school to outside of school to college kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and it moved quicker in the webtoon than in the show. So I think that's why they kind of brought in more characters.
Okay.
What's her face? Sujin, the bitch, who in the comic she's a bitch. Like from start to finish, like start to where we're at right now, she's still a bitch. In the show, she's so nice, she's badass. You're like, yeah, she's so cool, and then she becomes a bitch.
We loved her at first.
Yeah, and then she becomes a bitch, and you're like, no, you were so cool, you were so badass, and then she like redeemed herself at the end.
Yeah.
But in the comic, she's completely different.
Yeah. Isn't she a bit like on the promiscuous side of things in the comic?
She was more of like an attention seeker. One of those people who are like...
A Leo? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I mean... Yeah, maybe. She wasn't... She's not a great character in the webtoon. Like, her character in the show, that's the one thing I like about the show, is that her character is awesome.
Yeah.
And like, you see the shift of her character throughout the show, but in the webtoon, it's like, no one likes her.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, no one likes her. And like, what's his face? She knows Sojun and Suo, and they both don't like her. They both know how she is, and they both hate her.
Wow.
And she like tries to pretend like they're buddy, and they're just like, back off.
So, but she likes
she doesn't like anybody.
So who is she?
So
why did they make her have a crush on him then?
In the show?
Yeah.
Just to give it a story.
Okay.
Plot twist.
Makes sense.
I guess maybe she does like him, but there wasn't enough story for her. There wasn't enough of her in the comic.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's True Beauty. There's Extraordinary You, Mystic Pop-Up Bar. What's Wrong with Secretary Kim? I love the comic. They did a really good job actually with the comic and the show. The one thing they didn't do in the show is that he's a smoker.
Yeah, they don't show that in a lot of Korean shows, eh?
Like, you know when he was about, in the first episode, he's about to light a cigarette, and then she's like, you can't smoke in the building. She takes it away. There's another time, I don't know if you remember, because you haven't actually watched the show yet. You've just watched the 10 times that I've watched it.
Yeah.
The scene where he's sitting with her dad outside talking.
No, I don't think it's that.
So they're sitting outside the hospital.
Yeah.
And they're talking. In the comic, he takes out a cigarette and he's smoking. In the show, he's more like reserved and like, it's his girlfriend's dad, right?
Yeah.
So those slight differences there, but they did a pretty good job, like translating to television. Now, I will say this, as a writer and learning how to write, like learning scripts and structures of film and television and stuff like that, you will change the original source material. It's gonna happen no matter what you do.
Well, you don't essentially write comics and books to be put onto screen, right?
I do. That's the way I write. I write so there's There's a thing called it's called cinematic stories,
Okay.
where they're written to be translated, pretty much, right? They're written in a form, and not in a format, but like in a way where you can see it as a movie. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
there are people that write like that. There are structures like that. But like when you're writing like a comic book, you're writing a comic book. When you're writing a story or a novel, you're writing a story or a novel. You know what I mean? So you're not really thinking about putting it into a show.
Yeah.
So what the screenwriter has to do is take that source material and kind of figure out how to condense it from like, let's say it's a Sherilyn Kenyon book, which is like 400 or 500 pages,
Yeah.
and then condense it to a 120-page script if it's a movie. If it's a show, you know what I mean, an hour-long show, to a 45 to 50-page script times X amount of episodes.
Yeah.
Right? And so you have to kind of change things, skew things. You kind of might have to subtract certain aspects of it to get the story that you want. And sometimes you need to add, right?
Okay.
So like some one good a good example that I can think of is adding characters to the show when they're not in the comic. One example is Smallville. So the character of Chloe Sullivan,
Yeah.
she's actually made for television only. Pete Ross,
Which
he's
one
a
is
character. What?
I never watched Smallville.
Okay, so the blonde girl, Allison Mack,
Oh,
character,
shit.
yeah,
Okay.
her, her character was made for television.
Okay.
Whereas Pete Ross, like his other friend, and Lana Lang and all of them, they were all in the comics. Walking Dead is
Yeah.
another one. Walking Dead, Daryl,
Yeah.
character Daryl, he's actually made for television too.
Oh, isn't he
was-
like
he
the
wasn't
main
in-
character?
No, it's Rick.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch Walking Dead. So.
It's okay. It sucked after.
I don't
3 or
like
4.
zombies.
Anyways,
Zombies are not my forte.
so yeah, she won't even watch Train to Busan.
No.
So whatever.
No thanks.
Um,
Skip.
so that's another thing. Like they'll add characters
Yeah.
to the show.
What's the reason behind that?
So in movies or shows, you need certain types of characters. So one of them is called a bonding character. That kind of is a
Like pulls everyone together?
kind of thing. It's like she whoever the character is will pull the character in a certain direction to certain characters. You know what I mean? It's an important character,
Yeah.
right? One of them, actually, Scott Pilgrim. That was an awesome movie. I love the comics. I was really surprised with Michael Cera being able to do it because the character is so out there,
Yeah.
and like very like outgoing, and like
Yeah.
whereas Michael Cera,
It's goofy?
he's goofy, but like you see him like he's a reserved type of person, right?
Yeah.
He's not very like enthusiastic.
Yeah.
But he did a great job. One of the characters is Kieran Culkin's character, his roommate.
Okay.
He's a bonding character because he kind of helps the character.
Oh, he's not actually in the comics?
Yeah, he is in comics.
Oh, okay.
He's in comics, but he's a bonding character.
Oh, okay.
He's a bonding character. Kind of thing. If I'm wrong about this, guys, you can go ahead and tell me. But I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about for the most part. For the most part.
So he thinks.
So there's a lot of like similarities and differences. There's a lot of similarities between like what they do with the webtoons in Korean television and then the comics in North America, and they're going nuts right now with Marvel. Marvel is just like pumping out TV shows on Disney Plus. They're pumping out movies. There's three or four movies coming out by the end of this year.
So, do they follow the comics
No,
at all?
no.
No?
They started with Iron Man, and that's fine. Iron Man is an Avenger, but the route that they went was taking themes of the comics, right? And like they did a good job with the first Iron Man movie, so it was pretty good towards the comics.
Yeah.
But when you started adding more characters in, because they didn't have the right characters at the right times, they're not going to follow that specific comic, right?
Yeah.
One of the comics, which is one of the movies which I really didn't like, was Ultron, Age of Ultron, which they did a terrible job with.
Yeah.
For many, many reasons, and I won't get into that because this is not what this is about. But they took concepts from the comics, and then they went with that.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Do you think if they would have followed the comics a bit more, it would have been better? Or would it have just appeased the people
what they're doing is they take enough from the comics to be like, yeah, this is the comic book. Mm-hmm. But they bring in more of the sci-fi superhero aspect to it without making it too much comic booky.
Yeah.
So that more than just the comic book fans will be attracted to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like people like, you're not a comic book fan. You don't read comic books, but you enjoy the movies, right? For the most part.
Yeah.
The action, the suspense, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. If it was just straight comic book type of movie, I don't think you would enjoy it as much as you would. That's my opinion. And that's what they did. Was try and market it not for just comic book fans, but for everybody.
Do you think that was wrong, though?
No.
No?
I mean, in like a comic book fan, like I would love to see specific comic books made into live action. It'd be amazing. But it wouldn't have gotten as much traction as these would have.
But like comic book fans, there's a lot of them in the world, so like you don't think it would have been that?
Yeah, but comic book fans we're probably the worst people to appease.
Oh, okay.
Next to like K-pop idol fans.
Okay, so do you think that the Korean, when they take the shows or they take the comics or books or whatever, and they, from the ones that you've seen compared to, do you think they do a better job sticking to the book or comic?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think with there's this, because they don't. So they here in North America, they really took the superhero genre of comic books and then they ran with it.
Yeah.
Right? So with that source material, you have different iterations of each character.
Yeah.
So they can be like, oh, it's this character or that character. And because it's sci-fi and because of Marvel and DC both deal with the multiverse, they can be like, oh, this is a different version of it in the multiverse. You know what I mean? In Korean, in the Korean webtoons, with webtoons and comics and manhwas, I feel like the artists and authors of these comics think more of how this would be portrayed to more people than just certain people, kind of thing.
Okay, so when they write it,
they have more of a, this will appeal to like the general population kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's a cool way to go about it, though.
Right, but sticking to their genre, right? So there's what was the other one called? Hold on. Okay. Oh, okay. So there's Itaewon Class. That was a webtoon. They did a good job.
Yeah, that
with
was
it.
good.
Bringing On Ghost with Takeon.
Yeah.
Very different, but very similar.
Okay.
In the sense that there are certain aspects to the show. There are certain aspects of the webtoon that wasn't in the show, but the show went more of that romantic comedy, right, route, whereas the webtoon was more of the comedic drama kind of thing, more thriller.
Yeah.
It was a lot more of him dealing with issues, not only himself, but like the ghost that he comes upon, right?
Oh, cool.
And like they do that in the show too, but in the show they do it more with Takeon and Kim So Young's character. So that was really, really cool to see. But you can see that they did a pretty good job trying to stick to the story. And they took, even if they didn't, like parts of the show, they didn't stick to the story, that part of the story was still in the show.
Okay, cool.
Right? So they still brought it in and then worked it in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And again, they're working with one type of source material, whereas comic books here, with the superhero genres, they got plenty and plenty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
but do you think it's harder to work with that much?
with more?
Yeah.
You have more choices to go with. And I mean, like, yeah, it's good to have more choices, but sometimes it's like, okay, which one do I use?
Yeah.
See, like the new Spider-Man with Tom Holland, they went more with the Ultimate Universe, but they took a couple characters from where Miles Morales becomes Spider-Man. They took Ned, his best friend in the show. He's actually Miles Morales' best friend in the comics.
Oh, okay.
Right? So it's like you took kind of the same, but not the same. And it's like, oh, just picking and choosing what you want to use.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine, but like, whatever. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine. Like, it's cool though. You see like the similar, like you can see, you can see like how different our versions of comic adaptations to the Korean, even the Japanese with the animes and the mangas and the mangas is insane. The Japanese is cool because they try and stay as faithful to the source material as possible, and sometimes it's not always a good thing, and you can see that in some of their shows.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's better to stick to the source material, unlike what they did with Dragon Ball Z when they made Dragon Ball Evolution. It's probably the worst thing you'll ever see.
You're so
but
funny.
I still bought it. But yeah, they're really like, like Black Butler. They did a live version of Black Butler, and it was terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah,
it was terrible. The actors were great, but like the storyline was just stupid.
They did a live?
It was live action, yeah.
When?
2011.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't watch that. I watched the cartoon.
I can't remember. It was before. Oh, actually, no, I can't remember.
Now we're gonna have to watch it. I need to.
Yeah, you can watch it. We'll watch it. You'll see how different, entirely different it is from the manga. And it's like, yo, you have the source material right there, and it's not like it's difficult to do. They just kind of exclude the entire fact that it's based in England.
Oh, so they just did it in Japan.
In Japan.
Like, that's okay if they just made it similar, but I guess not.
If only.
That's okay. Anyways.
It was whatever.
Yeah.
But, read comics. Read mangas. Webtoons. Check out the Webtoon app in the Play Store or Apple Store. That's really cool. It's free for the most part. You know what I mean? You get coins and you can buy if the Webtoon is still updating. Like they have like up to 5. Like you can read up to a certain point, and then there's like locked versions.
Oh,
but you can wait like a week for each one to be free, or you can spend coins. So you can you're literally paying for the next.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And that way you're supporting the artist or the author, which is great.
It's nice to support artists.
Oh yeah, 100%. And there's a lot of great comics on there I've been reading. It's really good. I found so True Beauty was about a girl like trying to change herself by wearing makeup. I found a makeup kind of comic.
Only you, eh?
That was more based on the makeup and the way that people are portrayed in society because of makeup.
Yeah.
And how the main character, who's the makeup artist, he is very how do I say this? Not he tells the female lead, the pretty much the main character, he always tells her makeup is not what makes you beautiful. He says makeup cannot help you change you. Mm-hmm. You have to change yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? The way you think about yourself. Makeup will make you look good on the outside, but it's not going to change what's on the inside. And he keeps telling her that repeated.
It's kind of similar to True Beauty. Where
it is, but True Beauty doesn't, like, and the Webtoon, you'll see it too. It does not stick on the aspect of makeup. Yeah. You even forget half the time that she wears makeup. Yeah. But in the comic, it's like, oh, I have to go out. She puts on makeup, quick things, and then goes out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I can't let them see me without makeup. Mm-hmm. In this one, it's kind of like it's showing like both sides of the coin for wearing makeup, and it goes into like a kind of like a deeper meaning to makeup. Yeah. And how even though you're pretty and you wear makeup all the time, people expect so much from you. Yeah. Right. And people think you're just like everybody else, trying to, you know what I mean? And then if you don't wear makeup, oh, you're not pretty enough. You should be wearing makeup. You know what I mean? There's like.
Well, it's like if I don't wear makeup or like just concealer, people are like, are you sick? Yeah. Are you tired? Exactly. It's like, thanks for making me feel like shit. Exactly. I appreciate that.
So it was really cool. So check it out. I think it's called the Makeup Remover. So cool. If you download the app, Makeup Remover, it's really, really good. Mm-hmm. I think that's all we got for today. Yeah. Yeah, because we're way past the mark. Oh, ooh. Sorry, guys. Stay tuned for the giveaway contest. More details coming up. I swear it's coming up. Next week. Next week we're gonna next week we'll announce it next week. We'll announce the start of it next week. Yeah. And then we'll go from there. Yeah.
We appreciate your support.
Yeah, thank you for supporting us. All those who are listening, thank you. For watching, thank you. We love you.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.